Abused housewife books appointment with a gynecologist. Surprisingly, her doctor is a young millionaire and falls deeply in love with her. She grips the edge of the sink, her knuckles turning white, her breath shallow and uneven. The metallic taste of blood coats her tongue, making her stomach churn. She spits into the sink, watching the crimson swirl disappear down the drain. But the pain doesn't wash away. It lingers. It throbs. It reminds her. The bathroom light flickers above her, casting eerie shadows across the small, suffocating space. The mirror in front of her tells the same story it always does: swollen skin, a split lip, an eye that will darken by morning. She lifts a trembling hand to touch the fresh bruise beneath her eye and flinches. Even the lightest pressure sends sharp pain shooting through her skull. A muffled snore echoes from the bedroom. He's asleep. Of course, he is. He never stays awake after the damage is done. She wonders if he even remembers what he did, or if it's all just a blur of rage and control. Her body trembles, not just from the physical pain, but from something deeper, something colder. A thought. A truth she's been avoiding for years. If I don't leave now, I never will. Her heart pounds as the weight of that realization settles over her, pressing against her chest like an iron cage. How many times has she stood here before? How many nights has she sworn this would be the last time? And yet, morning always comes, and she always stays. Not this time. She turns away from the mirror, stumbling slightly as she moves toward the small table by the door. Her phone sits there, screen cracked, a reflection of the life she's been living, damaged but still working, still capable of something more. Her fingers hover over the screen, shaking. She could call the police, but she knows how that goes. The apologies, the lies, the way he convinced them it was all just a misunderstanding. She could call a friend, but she has none left. He made sure of that. Instead, she opens the browser, searching for something that doesn't just patch wounds but helps her escape them. Her breath hitches as she finds it. A clinic. A gynecologist's office. Just an appointment, just a routine checkup, something normal, something he wouldn't question. But she knows it's more than that. It's a chance. A reason to step outside. A moment of control in a life where she is none. Her thumb hovers over the call button. Every second feels like an eternity. If he wakes up and sees her. No. She can't think like that. She swallows hard and presses the button. The ringing is deafening. Her pulse pounds in her ears. Then, a voice on the other end. Calm. Professional. Unaware that they're about to change her life. Hello. How can I assist you? Her throat is dry, her voice barely more than a whisper. But she forces the words out. I'd like to book an appointment. The woman asks for her name, her availability. It's routine. Simple. Yet, to her, it's everything. As she ends the call, she exhales shakily, the first deep breath she's taken in what feels like years. For the first time in so long, she's made a decision for herself. A small step, but one that might just save her life. The clinic is colder than she expected. The air conditioning hums softly, sending a chill through her already tense body. The sterile scent of antiseptic burns her nose, sharp and clean, so different from the musty, suffocating air she's used to breathing at home. Her fingers grip the strap of her worn-out bag, knuckles stiff with anxiety. She keeps her head down, her eyes focused on the floor as she walks toward the reception desk. She can feel people around her, other patients, nurses passing by, but she doesn't look up. She's mastered the art of disappearing in plain sight. The receptionist greets her, her voice light and professional. Name. It takes her a second to remember she's supposed to respond. She clears her throat, barely managing to whisper it. The receptionist types something into the computer before instructing her to take a seat. She nods and moves toward the waiting area, her legs stiff, her body wound so tight, she feels like she might shatter if someone so much as touches her. She sits at the edge of the chair, her back straight, her hands clasped together in her lap. Around her, conversations murmur softly, normal things, everyday worries. A mother soothing her child. A couple whispering about their upcoming vacation. A man flipping through a magazine, sighing as he waits. Normal. She used to be like that, didn't she? Just another person moving through life, without fear choking her at every turn. Before the bruises. Before the isolation. Before she forgot what it felt like to belong anywhere. Her fingers brush against the tender skin beneath her sleeve, where new bruises bloom like unwanted flowers. She wonders if the doctor will even notice. They never do. They always ask the same questions, make the same assumptions. Routine checkup. Just another patient. Another nameless woman who will nod through the exam and leave, unseen and unheard. The door to the exam room opens, and she tenses instinctively, forcing herself to keep her gaze low. She hears footsteps, the rustling of papers, a chair scraping against the floor, and then a voice. "Miss Carter." She looks up, and for the first time in what feels like forever, she forgets how to breathe. The man standing in front of her isn't what she expected. He's young. Too young, she thinks. Doctors are supposed to be older, distant, wrapped in years of experience that make them indifferent. They're supposed to be cold, detached, more focused on their charts than the person sitting in front of them. But he isn't like that. There's something in his eyes, something quiet yet powerful. Not pity, not judgment, just understanding. A softness she hasn't seen in years. A warmth she no longer believes exists. For a moment, she wonders if she's imagining it. If the exhaustion, the fear, the years of pretending she's fine have finally twisted reality into something unrecognizable. "You're safe here." His voice is gentle, yet firm. The words hit her harder than any fist ever has. Safe. Her first instinct is to laugh. It's a bitter, broken sound, barely escaping her lips before she swallows it back down. Safe. She hasn't felt safe since she was 22, since the first time her husband's hand struck her face, and she convinced herself it would never happen again. She looks away, gripping the edge of the chair, trying to keep her hands from shaking. He doesn't push. He doesn't rush her. He simply waits, as if he understands that silence speaks louder than words. She forces herself to meet his gaze again, searching for the lie. But there's none. No condescension. No rehearsed sympathy. He sees her. Not just the bruises she hides. Not just the fragile woman sitting before him. He sees her. And for the first time in years, she wonders if maybe, just maybe, someone cares enough to help her find a way out. The clock on the wall ticks softly, the only sound in the sterile room. She sits stiffly on the exam table, her arms wrapped around herself, as if she can hold everything together just a little longer. The paper lining beneath her crinkles every time she shifts, but she barely notices. The doctor sits across from her, clipboard in hand, asking the usual questions. Any allergies? No. Any history of chronic illness? No. Any pain or discomfort? She hesitates, just for a second, before shaking her head. No. She has spent years perfecting this, saying the right things, keeping her voice steady, pretending that everything is fine. She has learned that the truth is dangerous, that honesty invites questions she cannot afford to answer. He scribbles something down, nodding, his tone calm, professional. But then, "Are you safe at home?" Her breath stops. For a moment, the room feels too small, the walls pressing in around her. Her fingers clench into fists against her lap, her nails digging into her skin. She forces herself to keep her expression neutral, but she can feel her heart slamming against her ribs, a frantic, desperate rhythm. She knows what to do. She has done it countless times. Lie. Say yes. Say everything is fine. Smile if she has to. She lifts her head, ready to respond, but then she sees his face. He isn't just asking because it's part of his job. He isn't distracted, already thinking about his next patient. He is looking at her, really looking, his gaze steady, waiting. She wants to turn away, but she can't. The words are right there, balancing on the edge of her tongue. She fights them, swallows them down, but it's too late. No. Just one word. But it shatters everything. The silence that follows is deafening. She feels the weight of it settle in the room, pressing against her chest. She waits for pity. She has seen it before. The careful, rehearsed sympathy, the murmured apologies, the empty reassurances. She doesn't want it. She doesn't need it. But that's not what she sees. There is no pity in his eyes. No awkward hesitation. No carefully chosen words meant to fill the silence without truly meaning anything. Instead, she sees something else. Determination. A quiet, unshakable resolve. As if, from this moment on, he will not look away. As if, now that he knows the truth, he refuses to pretend otherwise. She doesn't know whether to be relieved or terrified. For years, she has built walls, learned how to disappear, how to make herself small enough to survive. And yet, in just one moment, a single question has forced those walls to crack. Her hands are still trembling when he speaks again, his voice steady, deliberate. "Do you want help?" She doesn't answer. She doesn't know if she can. Because for the first time in years, she has been given a choice. And she is no longer sure if she knows how to take it. The room is silent. Not the kind of silence that feels peaceful, but the kind that lingers, thick and heavy, pressing down on both of them. She can hear the faint hum of the fluorescent lights overhead, the distant murmur of voices outside the door, but inside this room, time has slowed. She has just spoken words she never meant to say. And he just sits there, listening. He doesn't rush to respond. He doesn't drown her in sympathy or tell her how sorry he is. He just lets the weight of her truth settle in the space between them. Then, after a long pause, he exhales slowly and leans forward, resting his elbows on his knees. I know what it's like. Her head snaps up. At first, she thinks she misheard him. She has spent so long believing that no one could ever understand what it means to live in fear. To tiptoe through life, calculating every word, every movement, trying not to wake the sleeping storm inside someone else. But the way he says it, it isn't empty. It isn't careful, rehearsed compassion. It's real. I know what it's like to watch someone you love suffer in silence. Her fingers tighten around the fabric of her sleeve, gripping it like a lifeline. He isn't looking at her now. His eyes are far away, lost in something distant, something painful. It was my mother. The words are quiet, but they land like a punch. She used to tell me everything was fine, that she fell down the stairs, that she was clumsy, that it was just a bad day. Her stomach twists. She has said those same words before. Too many times. I was just a kid, but I knew. I knew every time she flinched when he walked into the room. Every time she locked the door behind her and told me to be quiet. Every time she wiped away her tears and told me she was just tired. His hands curl into fists, and for the first time since she stepped into this office, she sees it, the pain behind his eyes. A pain that has nothing to do with her, yet everything to do with her. I used to sit outside her door at night, listening. Just in case. Just in case I had to do something. Just in case this time was worse than the last. Her throat tightens. I told myself I'd save her one day. That when I got older, when I was strong enough, I'd take her away from him. She already knows how this story ends. But I was too late. The room feels colder. She never left. And one night, he went too far. He doesn't say it, but she knows. She knows the kind of too far he means. His voice is steady, but there's something raw beneath the surface, something sharp and aching. He finally looks at her, his eyes locked onto hers, and she forgets to breathe. I couldn't save her. Her chest tightens, her fingers digging deeper into her sleeves. But I can save you. The words hang in the air, heavy, unshakable. She wants to speak, but nothing comes out. Because no one has ever said that to her before. No one has ever looked her in the eye and told her she was worth saving. She shakes her head so quickly, so forcefully, that it almost makes her dizzy. I can't. The words rip from her throat before she can stop them. Her body reacts before her mind does, muscles tensing, fingers curling, the instinct to retreat kicking in like second nature. She doesn't care how kind he looks, how gentle his voice is, how much his words sound like something she's wanted, needed, to hear for so long. She knows how this goes. He'll find me, she whispers, her voice shaking, her breath uneven. Because that's the truth. That's the one thing she knows without a doubt. She has spent years learning exactly how far her husband's reach extends. She has seen how effortlessly he bends the world to his will. Every time she has thought about leaving, every time she has fantasized about freedom, the same cold, brutal reality slams into her. There is no escaping him. But the doctor, he doesn't look convinced. He doesn't look scared. He doesn't even hesitate. Not if I make sure he doesn't. His voice is calm, steady, but there's something beneath it, something sharp, something unshakable. Not a threat, a promise. Her throat tightens. She wants to believe him. God, she wants to believe him. But trust is dangerous. Hope is deadly. She has learned that the hard way. So she lets out a shaky breath, trying to keep her voice from breaking. You don't understand. He always knows. He has eyes everywhere. If I leave, he'll. She can't even finish the sentence. Because she knows what will happen. She has seen it play out in her head 1,000 times. The phone calls. The tracking. The threats whispered through clenched teeth. The way he always finds her, always reels her back in, always makes her regret even thinking she had a choice. And worse than all of that, the punishment. The reminder that she belongs to him. That no one, not even herself, has the right to take her away from him. The doctor doesn't flinch. He doesn't look away, doesn't falter. And then, you don't owe him your life. The words slice through her panic like a blade. She blinks. You deserve to be loved without fear. Her breath stutters. The room tilts. Because no one has ever told her that before. Not her mother, who told her that marriage was sacrifice. Not her friends, who told her that all relationships had rough patches. Not the world, which always seemed to ask, why didn't you just leave? Instead of, why did he do this to you? She has spent so long convincing herself that this is just how life works. That she is his. That fear is just part of the deal. But this man, this stranger, looks her in the eye and says something she has never let herself believe. That she is allowed to want more. That love shouldn't feel like a cage. That she doesn't have to live like this. Her chest tightens painfully. She wants to push the words away, to ignore them, to bury them beneath years of conditioning. But they're already inside her, taking root. She wants to leave. She always has. And for the first time, she wonders, what if she actually can? He doesn't rush her. He doesn't push. He doesn't flood her with promises or grand gestures. He doesn't try to force her to trust him. He just is. Every day he shows up. Every day he proves, in the smallest, quietest ways, that kindness still exists in the world. That not all hands are meant to hurt. That not every voice is meant to control. At first, she doesn't know what to do with it. The way he speaks to her without demanding anything in return. The way he steps aside, giving her space but never making her feel alone. The way he sees her, really sees her, even when she tries to disappear. She isn't used to this. She isn't used to kindness without expectation, to warmth without a price. She flinches when he moves too quickly. She hesitates before answering simple questions. She keeps waiting for the moment when the mask slips, when he finally reveals that this was all just another illusion. But that moment never comes. Instead, he helps her find a way out. A safe house. A plan. A new beginning. He is careful, so careful, not to take control from her. He doesn't tell her what to do. He asks, where do you feel safe? What do you need? How can I help? No one has ever asked her that before. She doesn't know how to answer at first. Because what does she need? She has spent so long needing nothing, or at least convincing herself of that. But slowly, tentatively, she starts to let herself want. She wants to sleep without fear of the door bursting open. She wants to wake up and not immediately brace for pain. She wants to remember who she was before she became someone's possession. And day by day, she gets closer to that. There are setbacks. There are nights she wakes up gasping, body tangled in the remnants of old nightmares. There are moments when the past grips her throat, whispering that she will never truly be free. But then, there's him, his steady presence, his quiet understanding. The way he doesn't try to fix her, but simply stands with her as she learns to fix herself. And in the stillness of those moments, when the fear begins to fade, she feels something new creeping in. Something unfamiliar. Something terrifying. She is falling for him. Not in the desperate, clinging way she once mistook for love. Not in the way that drowns her, that makes her lose herself. But in a way that feels like breathing for the first time. And that is the scariest thing of all. The bruises fade. The scars remain. Not just the ones on her skin, but the ones buried deep, the ones no one can see. She used to think they defined her, that they made her weak, that they proved she was broken beyond repair. But today, standing in front of the mirror, she sees something different. She sees herself, not the woman he tried to destroy, not the fearful shadow she used to be. She sees strength, not because she survived, but because she chose to live. For the first time in years, she doesn't flinch at her own reflection. She touches the place where a bruise once darkened her cheek, and instead of fear, she feels something else, freedom. And as she steps outside, into a world that once felt too big, too terrifying, she realizes something. She was never weak. She was never broken. She was just waiting for the day she could reclaim herself. And now, that day is here. She sees him in the distance, waiting. The man who never saved her because she was never someone who needed saving. The man who simply stood beside her as she saved herself. As she walks toward him, her heart is steady. This isn't an ending. It's finally, a beginning. If the story moved you, if it made you feel something, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. There's so much more to come.